Okay, so the barbell back squat's probably one of your harder exercises that you're going to have to coach people into. There are some mobility requirements, so make sure you don't just first start on the barbell back squat, and ensure that you've taught your client all the other exercises that I've taught you first, and progress them to the barbell back squat. The barbell back squat is at the end of the progression series, not at the start of the series. So some of those mobility requirements are dorsiflexion. That's a very important one. Obviously the knee flexion, but hip rotational ability. So as you get in deep into a squat, your pelvis will actually rotate as well. So it'll flex and rotate. So you're going to need some internal rotation ability there, which a lot of people are restricted through there. Your thoracic spine needs to be able to extend. So when you're in that upright posture, if my core is maintaining posture, it should be through this region here, needs to be able to actually extend back. Chin tuck's just good posture, but also you're going to need the ability to get your hands behind your shoulders. So that's all that anterior structures here, like your chest and pec minor and stuff like that, that could potentially get in the way of you doing a good squat. So it's quite complicated, so we'll probably try a few different angles so I can show you different things. When you're coming in for the barbell squat, you want to set the J hooks up in the rack so that I don't have to squat too much to unrack the bar. So see how the J hook's got this sort of 2.5 centimeter, 3 centimeter lip. I want to be able to come under and only have to squat about 3 centimeters. So you're only looking, or probably 4 centimeters, you're only looking for like just clearance over it. You don't want to have to get down really low and perform a full squat to get the bar off. That's just a safety thing mainly, but when you come back in, if you set it up correctly, you'll be able to just stand tall and it'll hit the pads at the back of the J hook, and then you can just drop it rather than trying to aim for the J hook section, so this section that sticks out. You just want to stand tall and walk forward and hit the pads here. So when you're setting up, you want to be able to easily do a little like 4 or 5 centimeter squat to clear the J hook, and you should be able to stand tall and hit the pads when you're trying to get rid of the bar. When you come in, you want your hands even. There's quite often people prefer different widths of grip. You'll see those guys that go out really, really wide. Generally they're pretty restricted through the chest, so they aren't able to get in a nice close grip. You also need a fair bit of external rotation ability, so especially if you're going to do a close grip. Again, I'm quite mobile, so my grip's quite close, but you are aiming to be just wider than the shoulders. To make my hands even, I use the start of where the knurling starts, and I'll use my thumb like that. So the tip of my thumb's at that, where it starts going smooth, and then I'll wrap around there like that. And if I do that on both sides, then I've got a nice even grip. You can use these rings too. Sometimes I'll just go pinky on the rings. It's even easier. But about there, just wider than your shoulders. You want to make sure that this bit's nice and centered. This is where I do like a mirror. Okay, so I can center that on essentially your spine, but you don't want it sitting on that C7, which is the piece of your neck or cervical spine that juts out. You can feel it stick out. If you can feel that and you're getting a sore neck, your bar's too high. It should be on your shoulders, not on your neck. So make sure your hands are even, come underneath and get it sitting on the traps there. Okay, and then you can see I have my feet. You won't be able to see my feet, but my feet are directly underneath me, underneath the bar, in a hip width apart position, and I only have to do a slight little squat to get up and clear the J hooks. And then when I walk forward, I walk straight into both of the J hook pads and then drop. And that's the safest way to do it. So where I showed you there, that was the high bar position. You can also do a low bar position. The low bar position is what the powerlifters use. You'll definitely be stronger. Again, put it into context what goal you need. The low bar does put a little bit more pressure on your shoulders. So are you trying to be a power lifter, or are you just going through the reps to try and increase hypertrophy or something like that? So the low bar position is down more on your scapulars, and then you're going to unrack. Okay, so I've cut my head off so that you can see what my feet are doing better when we go through the technique of the squat. So I've got my plates there for my lack of dorsiflexion, but I'll show you the footwork first, and then we can go from there, and I'll put my heels up and do a proper squat. So remember, I've got all my setup stuff that I've already shown you up the top. I'm just going to do a high bar squat for now. It's the one I'm most comfortable with. So you can see feet hip width apart. And if you're going to do a decent load on this, so I'm just making sure I'm centered, that's why I'm moving around. You want to set up properly like all the other squat cues that I've talked about. So I'm going to create tension in the floor, like I'm trying to rip the floor apart. Brace my core. All right, so I'm braced. Continue to breathe normally from there. And then extend up. So I'm extending, treating it like I'm doing a squat. Then from there, to clear the J-hooks, there's a 3-step process that most guys will do. So it's a 1, 2, and then you'll even out. It's 3. Then from there, you'll go through your bracing again. So, and then you can go through all the same cues that I've taught you before, where we're going to go down a slight hip shift back and then straight down. So it's hip shift back, straight down. And you'll see that my technique's not amazing without the dorsiflexion assistance there. So I'll put the heel lifts on. And you'll see this will clean up a lot. So again, I am ripping the floor apart or trying to screw my feet in the ground. I'm bracing, so I'm braced. Now slight hip shift, and then I'm going to go straight down. And I breathe out on the way up. So I maintain that intra-abdominal pressure and breathe out on the way up. So and then when you're finished, you'll just step straight forward into those J-hooks and drop it. Don't worry about making any sound, it's better to be safe.